Have you ever walked away from a competition and said, I froze? Or maybe I was overthinking. I was paralyzed. I just couldn't pull the trigger. I got inside my head. I was overwhelmed. I was conflicted. Those are phrases I hear all the time. But here's what I want you to know. Those experiences, although they may feel similar, they're actually very different. And if you don't understand the difference, you might end up training the wrong solution and then not really getting the results you want. Today, I want to introduce you to something I believe every athlete, coach, parent, business leader, and performer needs to understand. And before we jump in, please do both of us a favor, like and subscribe to this video series so that we can keep the information alive in the algorithm. And if we haven't yet met, I'm Dr. Haley Perlus, and all I want to do is help you perform your best when it matters most. There is a difference between thinking and trusting, and performance requires both, just not at the same time. One of the biggest misconceptions in performance is that elite performers don't think very much. That couldn't be further from the truth. Olympians, they think strategically. Professional athletes, they think strategically. Elite executives, think strategically. Great surgeons, think strategically. Champions don't stop thinking. They simply know when to think and how. Think about a quarterback. Before the snap, they're reading the defense. They're noticing formations, they're identifying pressures, they're making adjustments, they're figuring out who to pass to. They're thinking. Now imagine if halfway through the throw, they start wondering, should my elbow be higher? Maybe I should throw to a different receiver. I hope I don't miss this pass. Now that type of thinking, becomes interference. Same athlete, same brain, wrong type of thinking, wrong timing. That's what we're about to talk about. One of the brain's primary jobs isn't helping you win. It isn't helping you set a personal best. It isn't helping you land the promotion. Its first responsibility is actually simpler. It's trying to keep you alive. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment, asking one question: am I safe? And throughout human history, uncertainty, that can mean danger. So then when uncertainty increases, your brain naturally increases its thinking. Not because it's trying to sabotage you, because it's trying to protect you. And that's important to remember. Your brain doesn't want to be your enemy. It's doing what it's been evolved to do. The challenge is that what helped our ancestors survive isn't what we need to help perform. I want to introduce you to a concept that has helped many of the athletes I coach. I think of performance as a relay race inside the brain. Different parts of the brain have different jobs, and the mistake many athletes can make is expecting one part of the brain to do every job throughout the entire performance. That's just not how we're wired. We have a thinking brain that prepares for movement. We then have a movement brain that performs. And then the thinking brain returns to help learn. If the thinking brain refuses to hand off that baton, performance suffers. Let's walk through this relay. Step 1, we have to notice. Everything begins with awareness. Notice what's happening. What do you see? What do you hear? What information matters? This is awareness. And it's not about having judgment. It's just about having awareness. From a neuroscience perspective, your sensory systems are collecting information. You've got your visual cortex, what do you see? You've got your auditory cortex, processing what you hear. Essentially, your body sends information about balance, position, and movement. Then your parietal cortex begins putting all the information together in one picture, in one story. Think of that parietal cortex as your brain's situation awareness center. It's answering one simple question: what's happening right now? So, elite performers are exceptional observers. They notice details other people can miss, but they don't rush to conclusions. They notice first, and then they're going to interpret afterwards, later. Step 2, think. Now it's time for strategy. And this is where your prefrontal cortex does its best work. Think of the prefrontal cortex as your executive coach. It's there to plan. It reasons. It solves problems. It weighs options. It makes decisions. At the same time, another important structure, the hippocampus, searches your memory. Have I seen this situation before? What worked last time? What have I practiced? Meanwhile, the anterior cingulate cortex, or your ACC, acts like your conflict detector. So it notices competing options. There are two good choices, but which one is going to give me the best shot at success right now? And this is exactly what we want. This is preparation. This is strategizing. This is decision making. Thinking belongs here. And this is where coaches can really earn their value. This is where experience really matters. This is where mental preparation definitely pays off. Step 3, trust. This, in my opinion, is highly overlooked in performance. Trust is making the decision and then allowing it to be enough. Trust is the bridge between preparation and execution. Neuroscientifically, this is where the baton gets passed. Your prefrontal cortex has done its job. Now it's time to step back, and the basal ganglia begins releasing movement patterns you've been practicing over hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of repetitions. The supplementary motor area organizes your movement sequence. So, your body is now saying, I've got this. But many athletes don't believe it, or they interrupt that process. And then they reopen the decision-making process. And they say, maybe I should do this instead. What if this happens? I'm not sure. And every time you reopen the decision, your prefrontal cortex grabs the baton back. And that's hesitation. That's why trust isn't a passive thing. It's an active decision to stop searching for certainty. Step 4, perform. Now it's time to let your body do what you've trained it to do. Your motor cortex sends the commands that create movement. Your basal ganglia helps those movements become smooth and efficient. Your cerebellum constantly makes tiny adjustments to timing, coordination, rhythm, and accuracy. It's pretty amazing if you think about it. And here's what's even more amazing. Your cerebellum can make corrections in milliseconds, far faster than our conscious thinking. It doesn't need so much narrating every movement. It doesn't need you to remind yourself to keep your elbow up or to keep your head still or don't miss. The more you consciously try to control movements that have already been learned, the more you interfere with one of the most remarkable systems in the human body. During performance, remember, your job isn't to think more. Your job is to direct your attention to the target, the cue. That's why I'm so big on cues. To the rhythm, the breath, the next play. Ask yourself, what does this moment need from me? That's what I keep on emphasizing, because that's performance mode. Step 5, learn. Once the performance is over, the thinking brain can come back, and now your prefrontal cortex returns because it's time to review. What worked? What didn't work? What will I adjust? And your ACC detects meaningful errors. Your hippocampus stores the evidence. Your cerebellum updates movement patterns so you're even better next time. It's just a cool thing. Learning doesn't happen because you criticize yourself. Learning happens because you objectively evaluate your performance. And that's what I call the review mode. Review mode is where growth happens. Performance mode is where trust happens. And one of the biggest mistakes we can make is trying to live in both modes at the same time. You can't perform while simultaneously reviewing yourself. Imagine driving down the highway while staring into your rearview mirror. That's what self-evaluation during performance feels like. The review isn't wrong. It's just the timing of it is. It's just happening at the wrong time. Now let's talk about two concepts that we can sometimes confuse. Analysis of paralysis and then also choking. They are not the same thing. Analysis paralysis happens before action. Your prefrontal cortex and your ACC remain highly engaged. The brain keeps looking for certainty. What if? Maybe. Should I wait? One more piece of information. The baton never actually gets passed. Thinking never hands performance over to trusting, and that's what that really means. You stay stuck in preparation. Now, choking is totally different. With choking, the decision has already been made. The movement, it already has started. But now, your prefrontal cortex comes back online. Instead of allowing the motor cortex, cerebellum, and basal ganglia to do their jobs, it starts micromanaging. Keep your head down. Don't move your wrist. Don't pull it left. Don't miss. All of those thoughts. And now you've interrupted the automatic skill. You've taken an automatic skill and made it a conscious one again. And the movement system already knew what to do. The thinking brain simply interrupted it. Here's the simplest way to remember this difference. Analysis of paralysis says, I'm not ready to go. Choking says, I'm already going, but I don't trust myself. Different problem, different solution. So, what do we do about it? Well, the next time you catch yourself overthinking, don't ask, how do I stop thinking? Because remember, thinking isn't the problem. Ask instead, has thinking already done its job? In other words, am I still gathering information? Am I still building a strategy? Where am I in this process? Because maybe I've already made my decision. And if I've made my decision, pass the baton. Trust. Dip your toe and experiment with that. Trust. Perform. Then afterward, learn. That sequence is how the brain performs best. I'll leave you with this. Preparation builds competence. Performance requires trust. Reflection builds wisdom. Thinking has a job, trust has a job, learning has a job. The key is knowing which one your brain needs right now. Remember, performance is a relay race inside the brain. The thinking brain prepares. The movement brain performs. The thinking brain returns to learn. Don't ask your brain to do it all at once. And don't ask yourself to be in performance mode and review mode at the same time. Because where the mind leads, the body follows. Thanks for joining me for another Mental Toughness Moment. Please remember to check the descriptions for links on how to get in touch with me. Keep training your mind as intentionally as you train your body.